After discussing the part one of the land revenue code, we are going to proceed the next chapter, that is with reference to the title, that is chapter number 6 and 7, that is with reference to the assessment and the settlement of land revenue. Now, when we talks about the assessment and the settlement of the land revenue, which concern, firstly we will understand what is this assessment and the settlement, and who has a power to assess the land revenue. Now, initially itself, we are going to discuss this chapter because we are going to discuss the both the chapter, that is 6 and 7 together. It deals with the chapter 6 deals with the assessment of the land revenue so far as agricultural land is concerned, whereas chapter 7 deals with the agriculture of, that is the in case of non-agricultural lands. So we'll discuss this aspect right from section 19 to 107 deals with the agricultural land assessment and liability, whereas section 108 to 120 deals with the assessment and settlement of land revenue so far as non-agricultural land is concerned. Now, before we discuss what is this concept and who has the liability and what are the consequences of non-payment of the assessment, that we have discussed section 20, and it says that the state is the absolute owner of the all the property, and ownership is always with the state government. It shows that it's a certain kinds of the permissive use of the land, and there are different classes of the holders, which we have already discussed under section 29 of the land revenue code, that class 1, class 2, and the lazy. Now, if any property has been given by the government to the person for the cultivation or for using in the possession, then person has to pay certain remuneration against that, and that remuneration we call as the land revenue, whether in respect of the agriculture land or in respect of the non-agricultural land. Sometimes we may use the word taxes so far as the urban area is concerned, but in case of rural area, whenever we talks about the agricultural lands, it is nothing but the land revenue. So, whenever land revenue is there, now we're under this chapter, and we are going to discuss who fix this land revenue. It is whose duty to fix this assessment, who will carry out the assessment, and what is the criteria which is applicable to fixing the assessment. Now, if you go to the chapters, it realizes that, of course, the classes of the land, that is a class 1 occupant number, class occupant number 2, occupant number 3, that is a government lease. This formula or this aspect is one of the aspect for calculating the land revenue. Apart from these, the quality of the soil, the availability of the water sources, uh, the cultivations, or what do you call the whether the land, the what do you call the fertility of the land, and the the quality of the soil, all this aspect, and most importantly the environment, that has to be taken by the authority while calculating the assessment, and the that will be settled by the authority. And after settling this assessment, then the authority will be fix the amount, that is we call as land revenue. In case of the non-agriculture purpose, then it can be changed from it's there is no question of the quality of the soil and all these things. It is block wise. So it's a power with the authority. They may fix, depends upon the convenience within that periphery. And similarly, it's after consultation with the state government. Like suppose, if you take about the non-agricultural land in Pune city, and if you compare the land the non-agricultural Pune city and the Ahmednagar city, then of course, the even though length of the land is same, but depends upon the grade of the block, that settlement has been fixed by the authority. Now, sometimes it is by the settlement officer, or sometimes by the collector. When it is collector, when it is agricultural land, and when it is in a urban area, then it is a settlement commissioner. This is what the general provisions, rather introductory provisions of the assessment and settlement. Now, again, this particular chapter we are going to discuss in three different aspects. One, we are going to discuss liability to pay the land revenue. Initially, we are going to discuss the general rule, especially Section 64 deals with the general rule. It says all that is landholders, whether it is agriculture or non-agriculture, they are liable to pay the land revenue. Depends upon the again what the aspect we are discuss, or if it is fixed by the state government, in that ratio they have to pay the land revenue. However, the state government has a power in some exceptional cases to exempt certain land from paying up the land revenue. That is exclusive power of the state government. Now, so far as the alluvial land is concerned, section 65, त्याला आपण मराठीमध्ये गाळाची जमीन असं म्हणतो, टेम्पररी, to the bank of the river, to the bank of the dam, all this aspect. Then the land or the land which is situated to river beds, नदीच्या कडेला जे असते त्याला आपण त्याला alluvial lands असं म्हणतो, section 65. Now, so far as this assessment or payment of land revenue of this land is concerned, uh, in case of the island, because that particular island is for the temporary period, because in case of the rainy days, that particular island merge into the water resources or resources, and therefore, so far as calculating uh, the island, in case of the alluvial land, it says if the property or the land is more than 1 acre, then will it will be calculated. If it is less than 1 acre, then there is no question of the land revenue payment of the land revenue. Now let us go to the next and the second aspect after liability, that is assessment of the land revenue. Assessment will who will do this? And the first aspect we are going to discuss, who can fix it? Who will fix this assessment? Especially section 68. If it is agricultural land, please bear in the mind it's a collector who fixes the land revenue or the assessment in respect to the land. And please bear in the mind, this assessment is for the period of 99 years. However, the state government may, from time to time, with the consultation of the government, I'm sorry, the collector of the district, may change, may vary to the assessment. They may increase or they may decrease. Sometimes it happens due to the natural calamities. If there is no rain for the 5 years, 6 years, then by the collector may send the report to the state government and they will reduce the land revenue also. So even it is maximum 99 years, but it doesn't mean that it cannot be changed. It can be changed, taking into consideration the needs and the changing aspect of the in the society because of the so many aspects. Sometimes heavy rain is there, they will reduce because there is no crops and all this aspect. Now, apart from this, the state government again has a power to exempt certain land from the payment or calculating the assessment. That is the special power. Similarly, under section 69, it's a power given to the collector that certain person, that is the category of the person, they will fix under section 69. The collector may fix that certain kinds of categories of the person will be pay the land revenue. So that particular power is again with the collector, of course, with the consultation of the state government. Now let us discuss the manner. What are those circumstances which will be taken into consideration while calculating or assessing the 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 while doing the assessment? त्याला आपण मोजमाप म्हणतो शेतीचं. मोजमाप इन द सेन्स आणेवारी करताना कुठल्या कुठल्या गोष्टी कन्सिडर केल्या जातात, that is under section 67. So whenever they are going to fix the assessment of the land, वर्गवारी ज्याला आपण म्हणतो, that time the following factors shall be considered. One, the purpose of the land, whether it is irrigated land, non-irrigated land, agricultural land, non-agricultural land, that is most important. Secondly, the if it is for the purpose of the residence, then it is different. If it is for the purpose of the industry, then totally different. If it is for the purpose of commerce, then it is totally different. And if it is for the any other purpose, then assessment of the land will be different. And therefore, this particular section provides that if the use of, it depends upon the use of land, for what purpose it is using. On the basis of that use, the assessment should be fixed by the state government, and the purpose is most important. Now, come to the next aspect. As per section 71, payment of the land revenue has been fixed under Section 71. It's provided the assessment and the settlement of the land revenue is only for the purpose of the payment of land revenue and collection of the land revenue. In this behalf, under Section 78, the power is given to the state government. What is this power? The state government may either reduce or they may suspend or they remit the whole or partly the assessment or the payment of land revenue. This is the special power of the state government. Who knows? Because of these corona calamities, the state government may, uh, uh, by using their extraordinary power, suspend the payment of land revenue for this year also. We don't know because of the government. It's a government policy. Now, after this, we are going to discuss the third aspect. After the settlement, we are going to discuss the effect of non-payment of land revenue. What are the effect of the non-payment of land revenue? First and foremost, under Section 72, it is provided that the land revenue will be acted as an charge over the land. When we can say the charge, it means you cannot sell the property without clearing the charge. So whenever you want to transfer the property, firstly you have to clear this land revenue, and then only charge. Apart from this, if the person fails to pay the amount within the prescribed period, that is within the 3 years, then the collector has a power to forfeit the land, like other forfeit, and then collector will take the possession, and during that period of the 3 years, if the person he came and apply and he paid the entire amount along with the what do you call it, the fine, and that fine, that too with the percentage of 25% extra on that amount, then in such case the collector will, by accepting the remedy, I'm sorry, the penalty, and by receiving the amount will be released the property. However, if suppose that person has not paid the amount within 3 years, neither he made any claim over the land, then while using the power under Section 73, the collector may dispose of the property. This is the extraordinary power of the collector when the person fails to pay the land revenue. This is very interesting aspect has been provided, so far as the now that is the consequence of non-revenue is concerned. Now let us discuss the assessment and the settlement of the land revenue, that is agricultural land revenue, in respect of the agricultural land. Now, these two words have been used, that is assessment and the settlement of agricultural land. Especially Section 90 to Section 107 deals with this aspect. Now, what is this settlement? Section 90 subclause 2 defines the settlement. It says it's a result of operation of conducted in a zone to determine the land revenue or assessment therein. ज्याला आपण मराठीमध्ये म्हणतो की वर्गवारी करणं, सेटलमेंट करून वर्गवारी आणि प्रतवारी, that is two different aspects. And Section 93 deals with the very interesting aspect, that is to term of the settlement. What will be the term? Once the settlement commission has been established by the settlement officer in the particular area, then after the assessment of the land, that assessment, how to make an assessment? By ascertaining the use, the quality of land, the sources of the waters, the sources of the foods, which food grains they are cultivating. All this aspect has been, if the report has been submitted, then they will collecting the assessment. And so far as the settlement is concerned, this terms of settlement is provided under Section 93, and uh, it's Section 93 provides that once it is fixed, settlement is fixed, then it will be in the force for the 30 years. So once it is fixed, then it will be same up to the 30 years. After 30 years, they may change or they may continue. That is the total power of the state government while calculating. Now let us discuss what are those procedures for the settlement or the fresh settlement after the expiry of 30 years. Firstly, we'll discuss what is the procedure under Section 91. So, of course, it's a duty of the state government before directing the fresh settlement or the continue to the settlement of the any land, then they have to prepare the report that what are the changes made during this 30 years period. That this is the first foremost duty of the state government. And secondly, uh, mm, if the state government mandatory has to issue the notice intended to make the settlement together with uh, the proposed rate, and they have to for they have to forecast, or they have to publish, they have to forecast the all the notification their intention of state government uh, before 21 days. And whenever they want to change the settlement after publication to the public at large, they have to give the report to the all the members of the state legislative council. त्याला आपण आमदार म्हणतो. They have to submit this report to all these legislative members, and legislative members, state legislative members, they will study this and they will put this subject to the in the assembly. And if they have any objection, then objection will be removed, or that will be cured by making the powers. And thereafter uh, the report will be submitted in the state government. And if any private person has raised an objection, that will be also considered by the state government in this behalf. Now, so far as the procedure for determining the assessment of settlement is concerned, section 94 and 96 deal with this aspect. It says the settlement officer, on the basis of the classification of the land. So he firstly made the classification of the land, like the yield quality of the land, the crop quality, climate, rainfall, all these aspects he will be classified. And as provided under section 95, depends upon the improvement made because of the science and technology, because of the new use of the technology. He has to submit the report, and after submitting the report, he has to submit the report to the state government, and that report is called as settlement report under section 94. So this is the procedure. And once the uh, report has been submitted by this officer, then it is mandatory to the collector that it has to be published in all the villages. What is that? That now the assessment of the lands has been changed. Earlier it was 2 rupees, now you have to for 4 rupees. It has to be published in the villages, and that too in the Marathi language. So this is mandatory. And the collector has to give the 3 months time to the person to raise an objections. If suppose any agree person has objection, he can raise an objection in this behalf. And the objection, if it is not cured by the collector, then it will directly go to the Maharashtra Revenue Tribunal. And under section 99, the state government and the tribunal will be decided the aspect, and that will be the final by the Maharashtra Revenue Tribunal, that we will call as MRT. So finality will be by the MRT, of course, with the consultation of the land revenue. So uh, under section 102, if all the problems has been comes to an end, then it become the final report, that is called as the settlement assessment and settlement report of the state government. And from that day, it will be operative in that particular area or to the entire area. That depends upon the application. Now, so far as the non-agriculture of land is concerned, there are two sections, section 108 and 109. Of course, 107 all are there. Uh, General provisions are provided that it depends upon. There are two kinds of non-agricultural lands. One, that uh, use of land for non-agricultural purpose, and urban and non-urban lands. So these are sometimes in a rural area also, the agricultural lands will be converted into non-agriculture. That comes under the first part. Whereas sometimes urban and non-urban area, this is another classification made by the act. So far as the non-agriculture assessment are concerned, if it is in rural area, then under section 113, the collector has a power to decide the assessment. And the law has specifically prescribed the assessment in the particular block should not be more than 3% of the market value, and therefore or the collector may decide it on the basis of the standard rate, and after fixing the settlement, after calculating the assessment, he has to publish it in the official gazette, and from that day it become the law, or it become the rules in this behalf. So far as in case of non-urban areas are concerned, under section 1110, it depends upon the market value or the situation of the land, and it is subject to the approval by the collector and the settlement officer. So generally we call as it based upon the classes of the land, whether it is class 1 or class 2 or the government leads. So to regard this aspect, in the year 2003 the amendment has been carried out under the MLRC, and they have fixed the area to which we call as the urban area. We have already discussed the definition under class B, that is 42, after fixing this area, the collector has a power to discuss in first of all as the in rural area concern. When we talks about the urban areas, section 111 deals with these urban areas, and it says again, the collector can divide the group or the area in the block, and they will fix the market value of the land. Generally we call as uh, the ready reckoners on this behalf. Now with this, uh, there are certain land which are exempted from the payment of land revenue, that is provided under section 117. Especially the big leagues is provided. But if suppose the land is used for the handloom or the poultry farming, or the gardening, and such other the core agricultural correlated industries, then that land can be exempted from the payment of land revenue. Then if it is for the dispose of the certain wastage in the agricultural land, then that cannot be uh, uh, subject to the payment of the land revenue or the taxes. Similarly, if it is charitable purpose for the specific religion, caste, or scheduled tribes, then that particular land can be exempted from the payment of land revenue. So all these aspects has been covered under this chapter that is called as liability and assessment and the settlement of the land revenue. Very small chapter, but very important so far as examination point of view is concerned.